千里之行，始于足下. A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. Welcome to Tao Talks with Eric Lin, where we delve deeply into the Daodejing by Lao Tzu. So I want to do a little bit more about line 23 here. Line 23 says, those with foreknowledge are the flowers of the Tao, which now you know is the beginning of ignorance. I want to drive home this point about knowledge being different from wisdom. So everything that you see here, the Daodejing, first half, second half, all these different lines, they are about practical, everyday wisdom, rather than the acquisition of knowledge. What is the difference between the two? Are we not absorbing knowledge about these ancient tomes right now as we speak? Well, I want to illustrate that difference and make sure everybody is clear. So I have a slide here about the difference between the two. Keep in mind that wisdom, this is what is advocated in the Tao, in the Daodejing. Knowledge is something that humanity uses that can be good or bad. It depends on the way we use it. So here we go. First thing, knowledge can be used positively or negatively, whereas wisdom, the difference is that wisdom must always be used for the common good. As opposed to knowledge, you can be using knowledge to take advantage of people. You can be using knowledge to cause a lot of harm. Whereas in wisdom, it's all about the common welfare. Okay? So that's one difference. Knowledge can lead to arrogance and a feeling of superiority, even when you use it for good. And sometimes, especially when you use it for good, it can lead to arrogance. Look at me, I'm so great. I used my knowledge for good. Wisdom, on the other hand, is different in that when you actually utilize and apply wisdom in your life, it leads to joy. It leads to a sense of wonder. Wow, look at all this. And humility. When you perceive the Tao, the vastness and the greatness of it, when you perceive the oneness, the unity, the interconnectedness among all human beings, you cannot help but feel the sense of wonder and humility. And what a privilege and honor it is to be able to do my limited best for this greater whole. The more you think about it, the more you practice wisdom, the more humble you become. That's diametrically opposite to the path to arrogance that knowledge can bring. It's not to say that knowledge always leads to arrogance, just that it can. Then, another difference. Think about the nature of knowledge. Nature is all about exploring what is possible. Knowledge is asking the question, what can be done? So what about wisdom? Wisdom explores what is practical. What should be done? It's a different question. What can be done is about what are the limits? What happens if we transgress those limits? What happens if we push the boundary? Wisdom, because it is concerned with goodness and welfare, is asking the question, what should we do for everyone's benefit? What should be done rather than what can be done? Okay, one more. Knowledge We all know this. We know that knowledge is rooted in facts, information, and data. The more, the better. That's great. That can lead to a positive scenario without a doubt. It can also lead to the negative, whereas wisdom is more about applications in everyday life. Not so much about absorbing, acquiring ever more facts, information, and data, but rather it is about more applications on everyday life, in everyday life, asking the question, how can we use this? So lastly, knowledge is gained through theories and experiments. Now, let me talk about that a little bit more in just a moment. I want to compare and contrast with wisdom. Wisdom is gained from reality and experience. I'm talking about your personal experience. I'm talking about the way you live life every day. So, and again, in pointing out the last bullet for knowledge, I want to wrap it back to the beginning. The first bullet for knowledge, that it can be used positively or negatively. When we talk about theories and experiments, this is the scientific method we're talking about. When done correctly, it can help humanity. It can increase our understanding of the natural world. So double-blind experiments, hypothesis, proof, evidence, etc. All of those can be very good. It can also be easily perverted by human beings. So for instance, we have already seen many examples in our world of experiments that were biased because they were paid for. We have seen scientists falsifying data. Yes, that's a reality. That's happened. It makes the world ever more chaotic and complex. We don't know what to trust. We don't know what to believe in. So again, this only emphasizes that knowledge is a double-edged sword. It can be good, it can be bad. Wisdom is all about the opposite, that it's all about what you actually do with your life, what you actually contribute to the world in a positive way. So with this, I hope everyone gets a really clear idea of knowledge versus wisdom and why Lao Tzu has spoken repeatedly in the Daodejing, not just this chapter, but a bunch of other chapters in his opposition of knowledge. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Let us travel safely. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.